long-duration stay, NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman.
This mission maintains over 25 years of continuous human presence in low Earth orbit.
NASA is next planning to launch the Artemis II lunar orbit mission early next month. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
That last crew at the International Space Station was brought home early because one astronaut needed medical treatment. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best, better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast. Intervals of clouds and some sunshine today. A windy and warm afternoon, high 83 to 87. Wind from the southeast at 12 to 25 miles per hour. Cloudy, breezy, and warm tonight, the low near 70. Partly sunny, breezy, and warm again tomorrow, high 84 to 92. Plenty of sunshine, breezy, still warm on Sunday, but becoming less humid, high 86 to 90. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Dan Pedinowski on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
If you've been in a car accident, then you better get ready for a fight. You need a force for justice. The J. Gonzalez Law Firm. No other law firm in the Valley has more offices, more resources, and reaches more people every day for over 20 years, fighting for the people of the Valley. 1-800-CAR Crash. The J. Gonzalez Law Firm. A force for justice.
The 710 KURV People Poll is brought to you by Total Imaging Solutions, the home of copiers, fixed within 4 hours.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Broadcasting from the Valley's commercial and fleet headquarters studio at PayneAutoGroup.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV. From the Radio United Broadcast Center, this is the Sergio Show. Talking about the news headlines and topics that affect you. And now, the Sergio Show with Sergio Sanchez.
And a happy Friday. Happy Friday the 13th. Ooh. We're broadcasting the Sergio Show today from the, what do they call it? The Renaissance Conference Center at DHR. We're on the DHR Health Campus today and here with family. Ramiro Garza, former mayor of Edinburg, the publisher of the new Rio Grande Valley Business Journal, the RGV Business Journal.com. Go look for it. Considering the audience at KURV, all you business nerds and political nerds, health and education as well, you need to find this publication. Great work. It is very good. RGVBusinessJournal.com. And Mayor Ramiro Garza is the publisher. He's got all the staff here, and the entire big room for the DHR here Renaissance Conference Center. The big room is full of tables, man. I hope everybody who bought a ticket and bought a table shows up today. That's a lot of food that we're going to need to take home afterwards. You guys don't show up for lunch today. Mayor, thank you for hiring us. Thank you for bringing us over today for this very special day. It's the inaugural Economic Outlook as presented by the RGV Business Journal, and we have an impressive program. So you told me about this last year sometime as you were winding down over at City Hall in Edinburg. So for folks who are tuning in for the first time, and they're going to discover the RGV Business Journal. So what led you to go ahead and put the team together to produce this business journal for the RGV?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, Sergio, for your partnership here today and your support. Really, for me, it's real simple. It's just about continuing to tell the story of the Rio Grande Valley.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there's so much happening here, as you know. And from a business standpoint, I always tell people the Valley could compete with just about anybody in the world. And we just need to tell people about it. And so our journal is a newsroom, digital newsroom, and we cover all the business news that is happening in the Rio Grande Valley in different sectors. whether it's residential, commercial, industrial, any and all things business, we cover. So we have a site, rgvbusinessjournal.com, and in there you will find daily stories of the Valley. And you go in there and you get a good snapshot of what is happening here in our El Mágico Valle de Rio Grande. And so thus far, it's been over 4 months since we kicked it off. And, we've had over 300 stories actually published already in that time frame. So that tells you a little bit of an idea of, what is happening out in our region.
Naxi Lopez is leading the charge, right? Editor. And you got an impressive team. I met some of your reporters as we were over at USDA. They were talking about the sterile flies. And, of course, the governor came in. They're out there getting what I describe. See, here in KURV, and you know this, folks that listen faithfully, it's a qualitative, not quantitative. It's La Clica from County City, the university, the hospitals, all the school systems around here. It's the decision-making class of the area. So relevant that affects our pocketbook, policy, taxes, all of that is most relevant. And I appreciate you calling us to be a part of this broadcast today, because it's important that our business community, now more than ever, that we lock arms, that we be well-informed and connected, because prosperity is not only knocking at the door, prosperity is beating down the door to get to the Valley. You said something a second ago, that the RGV can compete with anyone, and I believe it. Let me give you an example. You will find in the top story in RGVBusinessJournal.com, I think Naxi wrote this article. Harlingen, City Hall in Harlingen, wrestling with the idea of a data center. Folks in Harlingen commenting to the City Hall. And the mayor, Norma Sepulveda, she's been quoted that she had a meeting and addressed some concerns. And I think what my takeaway from this article, I'm not beating up on the mayor, I'm just stating what the report is and what she said. I think the quote is, doesn't see the immediate benefit to the data center. And I took a step back from that. I'm thinking, well, I'm sorry. The long-term tax pool, property taxes, the equipment, the manpower, all those things that are the benefit, multi-billion-dollar investments. So many communities are clamoring, fighting to get these data centers. But anyway, they still need to determine in Harlingen what they want to do. I am biased on this. I have expressed, well, it's not you, Serge. It's not your neighborhood. It is my neighborhood. It's the RGV. They're on the table potentially billions of dollars in that investment, in ancillary investment, and domino effect investment that comes from having something like that. Anyway, these are the important stories that are being covered in the RGV Business Journal a few days back. In fact, we had Naxi in the studio. Matamoros, the shutdown of a major maquila that provides components for the auto industry. Well, because the owners, the best way to describe it, got prepaid, paid up front, and where's the money? Where's no money for actually that was paid for by major industry, major auto manufacturers to get it done. These are salient stories, relevant stories that are affecting our bank accounts, pocketbook, bank deposits, purchases, business transactions. RGVBusinessJournal.com. And today is the economic outlook, the big luncheon here at Renaissance. I'm not inviting you to come here. It's been sold out for several days. Ramiro Garza, our former mayor for Edinburg, the publisher, just tell me some of the folks that will be, for folks who come and enjoy the program. We got somebody from the Fed that's participating. So tell me about that and maybe the topic that's on the table for that.
Yeah, so we have Dr. Pia Arrhenius. She's a vice president at the Fed's Reserve Bank in Dallas. She's a labor economist. She's going to be giving a pretty good overview on, from the Fed standpoint, the Texas economy, the different sectors, all that is happening. And they've done a lot of research. And so they have some indicators, economic indicators that they've started publishing along the border. So we're looking forward to her presentation. She will highlight, all the outlook of what has happened in 25 and what is to come in 26. And we're looking forward to that. Along with her, we also have a panel discussion. We have 3 panelists that will really represent a snapshot, I'm going to call it, of the Rio Grande Valley. We have Joaquin Spammer from CIO Capital. He's going to talk about the industrial, trade activity, everything that is happening with that. We have Andrea Benton from RG Rio Grande LNG, next decade, that will be talking about, as you know, there's so much happening out there in Brownsville as it relates to that. And then we're going to have Sean Samtani. He's with Rhodes Enterprises, one of the largest residential home builders, developers here in the region, talking about the residential industry. So each of them will be covering what is happening as it relates to their industry, and then what is to come, in their respective industries. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a very informative luncheon, and this is our inaugural, so this is our first, and we intend to grow it from here.
From labor, it's being touched by the Dallas Fed labor economist, Dr. Pia Orinius is her name. On the industrial side, of course, Joaquin Spammer, we know the risk he has taken for years, put his neck out, put his money where his mouth is, and created hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of square feet. Logistics and industry keeping an eye on that, hoping to get some more down here, and let's create some more jobs. On the job side, with LNG creating other thousands of jobs at the port and more on the way. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. And yeah, y donde los pones, like I say, housing. Yeah, Rhodes Industries is doing a lot of neighborhoods, helping with that, but also on the commercial investment side as well. Just a great panel, good conversations to have. Former mayor for the city of Edinburg, Ramiro Garza, he's the publisher and also the moderator for today's event. It is the Rio Grande Valley Economic Outlook for 2026, as presented by the RGV Business Journal.com. Go find that publication and stay informed on regional business policy information. And I say regional, much like Joaquin Spammer from CIL and Rioplex, the concept, the region, not only the valley, not only South Texas, but northern Mexico. You've got correspondents watching what's taking place in Mexico, as evidence on the Maquila story from a few days back, because it's the region that we can sell. And I see this business journal as a compliment to having that Eagles perch view of what's taking place in the region to hopefully help better sell the region. And to that end, like you said a few days ago, the data center that's online. Explain that data center for me, because sounded very similar to me what the Valley Partnership under Bill Summers many years back would produce on a regular basis for us to consume and turn around and go sell at EDC. Yeah, absolutely. So part of the site, we have a data center that has information on the region collectively. It's publicly available information. All we've done is brought it together into one site. So in there, you'll find all sorts of local economic data, from sales tax activity to bank deposits to, also, bridge crossings, airline boardings, of course, labor market info throughout the region. And we have it all in one area for folks to, do the research and find a little bit more about our area. Sergio, one of our challenges, we have a lot of, opportunity strengths here, but one of our biggest challenges, obviously, we're over 47, I think, cities here in our region, and all of us know our region pretty good, right? Even around, I think, our country, even in Mexico, but a lot around the world, when they're evaluating markets, right, they need to look at a regional profile first, right? And so our data center aims to provide folks the opportunity to just assess our region. Judge Cortez likes to call it that we're a big mall, right? And that each city is a store, right? Well, we want people to evaluate the mall. I'm going to kind of steal Judge Cortez, I guess what he talks about, because I see where he's coming from and how he states it. I think it's very well stated. The data center really has information on the entire mall. You go to the mall and you kind of, look at a menu of like, all right, what stores are here, what restaurants, that's what our data center aims to do. Cover information on the Rio Grande Valley,
and help people get informed on what the Valley is.
That RGV Mall concept, he copyrighted, by the way. You're going to have to pay him a royalty when he shows up for lunch later on. I wonder which city would wind up being like the pretzel shop, Former Mayor of Edinburg, Ramiro Garza, my guest as we're kicking off. This is the inaugural Economic Outlook as presented by the Rio Grande Valley Business Journal. Again and again, I invite you guys who are business-minded, you're part of that decision-making. If you listen to KURV, thank you. You are part of the decision-making class of South Texas. Academic, medical, policy. Thank you for being a part of the program. Go find rgvbusinessjournal.com. Get connected. You are going to love all the articles that are being written about the region, South Texas and Northern Mexico. I'm going to go back to the studio. Producer Freddie waiting. We're going to pay some bills. Come back in a couple of minutes. We'll come back with Mayor Ramiro Garza, former mayor of Edinburg, Ramiro Garza, the publisher of the RGV Business Journal. I want to go back to the data center thing, Mayor. You, with plenty of experience, you just left a few days back. This conversation on data centers, there will be more in the Valley. I want to hear from you, from your perspective, experience at City Hall, how concerns in the community related to power, related to water, can be addressed properly. Because let's face it, if we heard and paid attention to every naysayer and everybody poo-pooing a project, no, I don't want that change. I don't want them in my neighborhood. Yeah, we wouldn't have thousands of jobs of LNG at the port. We wouldn't have thousands upon thousands of jobs at SpaceX right now. The future's here. The future's knocking down our door right now to get here and provide us more jobs. We'll address that next. Live from the Renaissance DHR Conference Center, I'm Sergio Sanchez. This is the Sergio Show on News Talk 710 KURV. Thank you to our daily supporters for this hour, Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing.
Coming up after the Sergio Show, stay tuned for the Dana Lash Show starting at 11, followed by the Brian Kilmeade Show at 2 on News Talk 710 KURV and on the Radio Potterme app.
My name is Sergio Sanchez. I'm a Republican. I'm running for House District 41. I'm happy to announce I just received the highest possible rating from the NRA Political Victory Fund, a grade of AQ. I'm the only candidate on either side to even receive a grade at all, much less the highest rating. Please go to my site, sergiofortexas.com, for more on my platform, including that I speak boldly on my pro-life stance. You can read about my concrete plans to lower our property taxes. Please remember to vote in the Republican primary, paid for by the Sergio Sanchez campaign.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. For the past decade, I was the leading voice in passing school choice. I never gave up. And in 2025, we passed the largest school choice plan in America. I also passed a law requiring that school locker rooms, showers, restrooms, and private spaces be restricted to only one gender to keep your daughter safe. Now, parents are back in control of their children's education.
Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, keeping Texas the most conservative state in America.
When President Obama wouldn't do his job, I was the first state leader to ensure Texas had state troopers on the southern border.
Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is the driving force behind the Texas legislature that makes laws from conservative ideas, and Patrick has made Texas the most conservative state in America. Donald Trump has given Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick his endorsement, saying Dan Patrick is a true MAGA Republican.
I am giving him my complete and total endorsement.
Political ad paid for by Texans for Dan Patrick.
Don Huffines is a successful businessman who stands with President Trump to enforce our immigration laws and put Texas first. As a senator, Don Huffines exposed a multi-million-dollar government corruption scandal and sent 6 crooks to prison for stealing our tax dollars. As our comptroller, Don Huffines will bring a private sector mindset to government. He'll doge waste, fraud, and abuse, eliminate all taxpayer-funded benefits to illegal aliens, and abolish every woke DEI program in every government agency in Texas. Don Huffines is the only Trump Republican running for Texas comptroller. That's why he's endorsed by Senator Ted Cruz and every major conservative group in Texas, including Texas Right to Life and Gun Owners of America. Don Huffines, the Trump Republican for comptroller.
Political ad paid for by the Don Huffines campaign.
Thank you, Brownsville, and thank you, Rio Grande Valley, for listening today to News Talk 710 KURV, the Valley's official home for Fox News Radio.
Time is 9:24. The Sergio Show on News Talk 710 KURV, broadcasting today from the Renaissance Conference Center, DHR campus. And today at noon, we have a gathering of the folks that are moving and shaking and investing and taking a risk in the Valley and helping to decide business and policy. It is the Rio Grande Valley Economic Outlook for 2026 as presented by a new publication that you really need to discover. If you listen to 710 KURV, you're part of that decision-making class population of the Valley. RGVBusinessJournal.com, the publisher, former mayor of Edinburg, Ramiro Garza, is my guest. And right before the commercial break, I had mentioned, I gave it an example of the lead article that is in RGVBusinessJournal.com, which is Harlingen, City Hall, the mayor, Norma Sepulveda, being quoted as meeting with folks who are thinking about bringing a data center to the area. You know, the very thirsty, power-hungry data centers, these supercomputers. They're being placed in other parts of Texas. They're coveted by some communities because it's an amazing tax base. It's going to sit there. It will create a few jobs, but it's generating tax upon tax upon tax. And much like LNG, much like SpaceX, some people standing up saying, no, I don't want it. No, I don't want money. Okay, so Ramiro Garza is the former mayor of Edinburg, and he had plenty of experience through the years when it came to zoning issues, other things like that. So from your perspective, Mayor, there's a balance that needs to be found. And I'm thankful to heavens that we found the balance because we have SpaceX. I'm thankful to Lord Jesus we found a balance because we have thousands upon thousands of jobs for LNG, another LNG. We can find that balance. But from your perspective as former mayor, let's look at it from a City Hall perspective, what Harlingen is dealing with right now, looking at this multi-billion-dollar investment in the area that will generate more tax revenue, all that. How do you see this and what needs to be done to find that balance in Harlingen?
Well, first of all, there is a process involved. And I think I'll say that, unfortunately, I think a lot of our residents are not aware of what processes are in place to allow for a business to locate just about anywhere. Cities have requirements. There's public hearings. There's, in some cases, state requirements that companies need to abide by. But look, I can appreciate Harlingen Mayor Sepulveda's, and the city's their position, because obviously, what's happening right now is there's a large company wanted to come not only to their city, I think it's right outside their city, if I'm not mistaken. And while it is a large investment, it's about finding a good balance, right? Because what are the demands of that company? Do they require a lot of water? Do they require, what services do they require? And that balance is having to do with not only making sure you can meet the requirements of that company, but also the requirements of your community. And I think they're doing just that. Cities, it's a tough challenge, having served, previously, as mayor and of course city manager and EDC director. I said, I can remember years ago when I started in economic development, when companies were coming in and they go through a zoning process. I remember people lined up at City Hall, signing up, speaking in favor of bringing these things here, right? Because we're just trying to, our area was
whatever
just
it was for the industrial park.
It was,
really,
yeah.
Okay.
And what we're finding these days is that we've grown so rapidly in such a, close time. I think in some of the cities we're doubling every 20 years. And so, that puts a strain on infrastructure and certain things. There's neighborhoods popping up just about everywhere. Yeah. And so I think what we're seeing now is there's residents showing up like they did before, but they're actually showing up with concerns, right? Concerns about, wait a minute, what is this going to do to our neighborhood? What is this going to do to, their quality of life? But the good news for residents is that cities do not just allow any company to locate in any city. There's a process in place. In some cases, they may have to change zoning, or they have to submit their development plans to meet all city requirements. And every city has a set of guidelines or code of ordinances that protects the residents, the health and well-being of the residents. And so, I think residents can be assured that there is a process in place, and there's plenty of opportunities for them to voice their opinion at City Hall as part of these public hearings. So I think, what's going on in Harlingen is, I think, what we're seeing, I think, throughout the region. There's cities that, again, in Edinburg in particular, that have doubled in size. When I first moved to Edinburg, there was 48,000 people. And quickly in 20 years, there's already almost 110,000,
wow.
Folks. So you're seeing that throughout the region. And so that causes some challenges, but I think cities are handling it the best way they can. And in some cases, there's state requirements too that companies need to abide by.
Sometimes the naysayers and folks that push back and express question, that's fine. Ask those questions, take them to City Hall, but it's amplified with social media. People going to social media, making all sorts of claims. And as I was telling you off here, sometimes a lie will go thanks to social media, it will go around the planet 2 or 3 times before the truth gets a chance to get out of the starting line. This is the way I see it in conversations with EDC recruiters and folks through the years. It's if this industry, any industry that is interested in our area, whether it be SpaceX or LNG or another LNG, whoever's coming to town, they would not be considering us if we didn't have the resources and the capability to provide for the population and to provide for themselves. And in this new power-hungry industry, some of them generate their own power. And they have long discussions because it is in their best interest to be a good neighbor. So can you provide me the water and still feed Dia down the street? Yeah, that's just the reality of the negotiations. Otherwise, they would not consider us. And you talk about dropping the ball. I'll tell you what, if Harlingen drops the ball on this, I see, you ever see that meme of that guy that's behind the tree, that black guy with a yellow suit? He's going like this, like this. I bet you Tech Clover admissions going like this. Come on, Harlingen, drop the ball. Weslaco, I bet you Weslaco. Come on, Harlingen, drop the ball. We got some land over here. We'll take the data center. So now the Friday night football mentality kicks in, where all these different cities can put up their own pack and say, come on over, muchachos. We want that tax base over here.
I'm not sure that'll happen. Maybe years ago, Sergio, but we've come a long way. The region now works real closely together. There's, we've all grown into one another, right? These communities. I joke often that we don't have a choice but to work together because we've ran into each other, right? Yeah. Some cities neighbor each other. I think Harlingen and other cities will get it right. I think, going back to the requirements, when a company comes in, whether it's a data center or anything, they have certain requirements. Each city, we abide, as it relates to water, by and wastewater, by requirements from the state, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ. And so if there's a big company that has these large demands, each city has filed in Austin permits as to our treatment capacity and those kind of things, right? And so when there's a new company coming in, that has to be submitted through not only the city, through the state. And if it exceeds the city's treatment capacity, in some cases, they will not be able to approve that permit. And I think residents need to know that. And if it gets close to their treatment capacity, then the city will be required then to start looking at expanding their treatment capacity. So at all times, I think our residents are protected because of those requirements. And I know all the cities here that they work tirelessly to make sure that they provide for the residents.
I can continue this conversation. You know how it is. Producer Freddie says, it's getting Serge to shut up. That's the problem. So I will shut up, go back and pay some bills. And again, thank you, Mayor, for having us over. And look forward to having this conversation with you on a regular basis. Our former mayor from Edinburg and the publisher of the RGV Business Journal.com, RGVBusinessJournal.com. Today presenting the economic outlook here at the Renaissance Conference Center at DHR Health. I'm Sergio Sanchez, the Sergio Show on Newstalk 710 KURV. This hour presented by Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing. Back to HQ.
This is a fraud alert. It is a crime in Texas for a person to solicit an accident victim for purposes of legal representation. If you have not requested the call or personal visit, report this crime to the Texas Rangers.
Are you in the market for a new Toyota or pre-owned Toyota? Look no further than Toyota of Far. They have extensive selection of Toyota cars and Toyota trucks and Toyota SUVs. along with exceptional customer service every step of the way. Number to call, 956-815-2285.
Don Huffines is a successful businessman who stands with President Trump to enforce our immigration laws and put Texas first. As a senator, Don Huffines exposed a multi-million-dollar government corruption scandal and sent 6 crooks to prison for stealing our tax dollars. As our comptroller, Don Huffines will bring a private sector mindset to government. He'll doge waste, fraud, and abuse, eliminate all taxpayer-funded benefits to illegal aliens, and abolish every woke DEI program in every government agency in Texas. Don Huffines is the only Trump Republican running for Texas comptroller. That's why he's endorsed by Senator Ted Cruz and every major conservative group in Texas, including Texas Right to Life and Gun Owners of America. Don Huffines, the Trump Republican for comptroller.
Political ad paid for by the Don Huffines campaign.
It's the Drive More, Pay Less event at Toyota of Far, and the savings are better than ever. Drive off in a Tacoma for just $95 a month, or a Tundra for only $295. That's more truck, more power, and more value for your money. Visit us today at 1625 West Interstate 2 in Far. Shop online at toyotaofar.com or call 956-815-2285. That's 956-815-2285. Toyota of Far, son buena gente.
For victims of drunk or drug driving, your grief is unique, but you're not alone. You'll always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
Fox News, I'm CJ Papa. Key reading on inflation falls to a near 5-year low in January.
The consumer price index rose just 0.2% for the month and 2.4% on an annual basis. The numbers showed improvement and were below economists' predictions.
Fox's Jenny Casola. 5 protesters accused of storming Sunday services in St. Paul, Minnesota last month, due in court 2 p.m. Eastern for their arraignment, and that includes
former CNN anchor Don Lemon, who is live streaming, is also going to be arraigned today. He said he was covering this as a journalist, but prosecutors say he knowingly joined the mob.
Fox's Brooke Taylor, Minneapolis. Nancy Guthrie now missing 13 days. And money for DHS runs out at midnight, sparking a third partial government shutdown since the fall. Lawmakers on recess until February 23rd. America's listening to Fox News.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast. Intervals of clouds and some sunshine today. A windy and warm afternoon, high 83 to 87. Wind from the southeast at 12 to 25 miles per hour. Cloudy, breezy, and warm tonight. The low near 70. Partly sunny, breezy, and warm again tomorrow. High 84 to 92. Plenty of sunshine, breezy, still warm on Sunday, but becoming less humid. High 86 to 90. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Dan Padanowski on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
Broadcasting from the Valley's commercial and fleet headquarters studio at PayneAutoGroup.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
Sergio Show on News Talk 710 KURV, News Talk Authority of the RGV. And yes, Northern Mexico, because we got some maquila managers, maquila folks, and folks feeding into the maquilas, the industrial base of Northern Mexico. Yeah, they're tuning in, and love y'all. Appreciate y'all checking in, especially driving back from Mexico. The Sergio Show, we are broadcasting today from the Renaissance, the DHR Health, Edinburg Renaissance Conference Center. And today at noon is the Rio Grande Valley Economic Outlook as presented by the RGV Business Journal.com. I cannot sing enough praises, and I'm so honored that they decided to partner up with us on this event today. Go check it out, RGVBusinessJournal.com. Relevant, salient information for all your business, your pocketbook, your bank accounts, your capital infusion, your investment here in the near future. The Valley economy is growing by leaps and bounds, and we need to be well informed as to what's taking place. It's amazing times that we live in South Texas. My guest now is, by the way, you can also join us on 710 KURV, YouTube Live, 710 KURV, Facebook Live. I hate Facebook. It's a necessary evil. And 710 KURVX live, and probably a bunch of other live stuff we're doing right now. Producer Freddie puts us there. So you can do a rewind and check out these conversations. And producer Joe, the mighty Joe Salinas, will be parsing those and putting those individually, like this one coming up. He is the owner, CEO, ERO Architects, but also the lead force behind iLinkUp. You've heard in previous broadcasts, this Institute for Leadership and Capital Projects, iLinkUp. Brian Godinez is my guest. Let's start. Again, everybody knows you that's in this audience, but for a lot of new people in the market, it's amazing how many people are moving to Texas by the thousands every single day. A lot of them coming to the Valley, and we know this thanks to U-Haul, right? Did you hear that one on U-Haul? Brownsville, McAllen, number 10 on the list of one-way destination points for U-Haul. Here, McAllen, Brownsville, number 10 on the list. So we got a lot of new people tuning into News Talk Radio as well. Tell them about ERO Architects.
I will, but I want to mention that I think another metric in terms of our growth has to be all the storage units that are going up. So it links to U-Haul. So Move It is one of our clients.
Okay.
And we've been expanding all their facilities up and down this 4-county area. And we're wrapping up on some. And they're already planning for more.
The phone is still ringing
They're
for
planning
more.
for more. So I think there's a lot of people coming over here with a lot of their stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether they're going to use their stuff or buy new stuff.
Well, tell you what.
We hope they do.
The garage sale market's going to be real good. Got a lot of good stuff.
Well, look at the Pulgas. They're just continuing to keep growing and growing.
What's the name? Move It, you said, right?
Move It Storage.
Oh, yeah.
So ERO Architects we're the largest architectural firm in the South Texas area. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary. We've done over 350 projects representing well over 11 million square feet of space. A lot of our work is in the public sector space. This growth is great for architectural firms like mine and others around the region. And we do a lot of public facilities in city government as well as county government. If you've seen the new Hidalgo County Courthouse, if you've seen the McAllen and been in the McAllen Performing Arts Center, that's an example of our work.
You would say that's the crown jewel, right? The McAllen Performing Arts Center?
That McAllen Performing Arts Center is stunning. It is a masterclass in architecture, not only in the visual experience and when you walk in, but also in the sound. We spent a lot of money acoustically treating and tuning that room for the Valley Symphony Orchestra as well as Broadway shows. I like to pat ourselves on the back and the design team that was involved in that project, along with my good friend Rene Capistran, who led the construction for that project.
Mm-hmm.
We sat and toured with the Disney Broadway production folks for 2 days. They came here to test the facility to see if it was worthy to be able to bring in Hamilton and bring in the Phantom of the Opera. They wanted to see if the chandelier could hang in the middle of the, right over the audience, along with The Lion King and other big productions. And we passed. The building passed. What didn't pass, unfortunately, is the market being able to sustain a series of multiple shows over multiple nights.
Yeah.
And that's why we're not seeing the big show. Oh, yeah, we're slowly getting there. And I mean, the growth in this community has been phenomenal. So aside from government projects, we do a lot of education work. We've done over 25 projects for South Texas College alone, but we've worked with every school district in this region. So we've been around. We're very proud of the work we've done.
Begs the question, when they did the assessment on being able to fill the venue for several days, that the market, right, fill the venue, they looked at the entire market, right, Brownsville, Harlingen, and McAllen, or just McAllen, Mission, Edinburg, Hidalgo County. Do you know what they looked at?
If I remember correctly, the feasibility study done by the Disney folks expanded not only in this 5 or 6 county area, but into Mexico.
Okay, so they looked at the region.
And the region.
The region.
And what's amazing is that if you get that Joe Milton hypnosis individual that's extremely popular.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
He books multiple nights.
He does.
Multiple nights in a row. 2 shows in a day. Or
John Milton, I think.
Yeah, John Milton. There you go.
Yeah, or his cousin is the other one. It's
Joe.
It's a smaller show.
Yeah. I think he hypnotizes animals. While John does the folks.
Little squirrels and mice.
Yeah. Anyway, but no, we're real proud to be serving this region and just grateful and thankful that for 25 years we've been impacting and connecting communities and their cultural history, land and people, and being able to weave their stories into the buildings that we do.
Growing up in Reynosa, the flood of memories. You know, one show I would probably pay good money for. Might not be the Disney show, but if they ever did like Chavo del Ocho or Chespirito the Musical, just at the Performing Arts Center.
I'm sure it would sell out. I'm sure it would sell out. I think 956 Bronco would probably sell out.
Oh, no.
Over there for one night.
I did not have that on my bingo card today. A mention of 956 Bronco. Sorry, now I got to.
Well, you said you hate Facebook. And Facebook has some very entertaining reels. And
they do.
And he does some very funny reels. But we by the way, we moved 3 years ago back to ERO for just a second. And why we're a sponsor for this economic update is that we've been affiliating more and more with the logistics industry, working with Rioplex, CoStep, the RGV Partnership, all of the economic development organizations that are in this region. We've been doing warehouses. I mentioned storage units. We've done car dealerships. We've been doing truck centers, and so we've been working more and more into the logistical growth here. Cold storage facilities. It's an area that we see growing. It's dynamic. It's getting bigger. Eventually, data centers will be coming. I heard you talking to Ramiro about that. So we want to let people know that we're not just a public sector architectural firm. Yeah. We're doing a lot of private sector work as well.
Brian Godinez with ERO Architects. Also, he is the lead in the Institute for Leadership in Capital Projects. Two separate things. ERO Architects, again, the county courthouse downtown Edinburg, the Glass Tower. We were talking a little bit about the Fine Arts Auditorium, Performance Fine Arts Center in McAllen, just a shining jewel, the crown jewel of some of the projects that they have. But más o menos through these years, how many hundreds of projects again? You mentioned at the beginning.
350 in the performance and the performance or event center building type. We've done 20. In fact, we're currently in design with D. Wilson Construction on the new Performing Arts Center for the San Benito School District.
Okay, I was about to say probably the school districts and colleges.
We've done 14 school district performance centers.
Well, you mentioned the private sector part of this that is coming. Could be data centers, could be computer chip manufacturing. We have so many complementary industries that are showing up to support the materials and services that are required by our neighbor, Elon Musk, LNG, and all the industry that's coming from that. An architectural firm.
That's why we have an office in Brownsville now.
Okay. Is that new? Or
we opened it up 2 years ago.
Okay.
We've got 5 folks over in the Cameron County area. Pretty active over there in the Brownsville
An architectural firm, you design based on the requirements or the request from the customer, design the entire project, the land, the layout, the
start
slab,
to finish.
Everything. And then you pass it on to people like D. Wilson or some of the folks. So there it is.
We work hand in hand with the contractors that get selected. Either the contractor selected at the very beginning and we're part of the contractor's team, or it goes out for bids and then we work along that process of getting a contractor on board and working closely with them. So there's a lot of different ways how construction is done here. We're real excited about how the construction industry is. I think it's on a continuous rise and has been for quite a few years since the pandemic. I was listening to Mayor Villalobos yesterday at the State of the City event, and I could not believe the numbers that he was putting out there in terms of the growth that we're having just in McAllen alone. Yeah. But multiply that times every community in the region. They're all experiencing construction booming. They're all doing well in residential. The school districts and colleges and the University of Texas, RGV, they're all planning a lot of construction in this region. Yeah. That's a good indicator. That's a good metric for how well we're doing as a region. And to prepare for this interview, because I know you're going to throw some zingers at me, I was reading and reviewing the RGV Business Journal, and all the stuff that is going on in this region is just mind-blowing.
Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I'm just reading it. It's the RGVBusinessJournal.com. It's a great collection of
I'm glad to be a sponsor. We were one of the founding sponsors supporting Ramiro and Jim Moore over there at the Journal.
Hopefully I get a chance to speak here with
Jim Moore. Oh, he's been walking around. He is a world-class journalist. I'm sure he's looking for stories in this building alone right now.
Brian Godinez, he is the owner of ERO Architects.
Co-owner. I want to shout out my partner, Octavio Cantu. We're both owners of the firm.
I better write that down.
Octavio Cantu.
Otherwise, he'd call you after the show. You know what? This thing, I want you to buy me on. You didn't give me any love. Octavio Cantu.
Throw some love at him.
Okay, that's enough love for you, Octavio. There you go. Also, I mentioned the Institute for Leadership in Capital Projects. You've had several meetings, several get-togethers. Thank you for the invite on the last one. Tell folks who are working for a living right now, what is it for the engineers, for the architects, other folks in construction and in building? What is it? Why should they join?
This is an organization that's been around for 16 years now out of the Austin, San Antonio area. And it's the Institute for Leadership in Capital Projects. And it literally is focusing on capital projects and the rise of capital projects. And it's an opportunity for architects, engineers, and contractors, along with developers, investors, real estate folks, to be in rooms and events together to talk about best practices, sharing what's going on in the industry, talking about a particular region. They're in Austin, Houston, San Antonio, soon in Dallas, now in the Valley. We've been here for a little over a year. As a matter of fact, we have a mixer coming up, a nice one too, in Brownsville next Wednesday. I believe my good friend, fellow board member, Oscar Garcia with Broad Associates, and Doro Garcia, the assistant city manager, are going to be on your radio on Wednesday to promote this mixer from 5:30 to 7:30 at the El Boqueron on Washington downtown. And they're going to be not only talking and showing slides, but they're going to do a walking tour of the new downtown revitalization plan. They call it the Renaissance Plan.
Okay.
What is going to be revitalizing the entire downtown area with a significant amount of investment and resources to bring that community alive. I like that. And I like the fact that other communities are doing it as well. San Juan just adopted their new downtown revitalization plan. There are other communities that are working on downtown revitalization. And the whole idea is that years and years ago, as you know, Sergio, everything went along the interstate. All the brands, all the retail, downtown started getting into blight, started economically going down. Now the communities are all deciding, no, it's time to bring that traffic and that money into the downtown's area. And you're seeing huge efforts. The Brownsville effort is probably one of the most dynamic that's going on right now. And so those who attend will find out exactly what's happening in the downtown area for that Renaissance plan, specifically our brothers and sisters in the architecture, engineering, and construction world. 5:30 to 7:30.
5:30 to 7:30 next Wednesday, the 18th in Brownsville.
El Boqueron.
El Boqueron.
Boqueron.
El Boqueron on 1101 East Washington
And this is
Street.
cool.
That's downtown.
What's going to happen? Daniel, the planning director, along with Doro, the assistant city manager, who are our keynote speakers at the mixer, are going to take everybody outside and walk around a couple of blocks and show them what they're planning. Come back in for drinks and food, and then talk more about it and get a chance to mingle. And we already have 60 people registered for the event.
Excellent. Good to hear. Good to hear. Well, that's good. You get some good food and drinks, and your 10,000 steps as well. So
Exactly.
Burn them off.
But
that
this is
evening.
one of many events that we're going to be planning throughout the year, and not just in Brownsville. We've been in McAllen already. We did one in Weslaco. We're going to be heading up west towards Rio Grande City, and we're going to be mixing in literally mixers and forums and luncheons. You said here you were at the last one when we focus on infrastructure. We're planning a 2-day forum at the island so we can delve deeper into infrastructure. That's the number one issue that's going on right now with data centers coming and all the logistics. And we've got 14 bridges with more expansion going on in Farr and McAllen and Donna and Brownsville is logistics needing infrastructure.
This provides yet another potential. We've talked about this off here, a potential advocacy, legislative advocacy, or legislative arm, the function that could be done by this collection. I described it once when I saw one of the initial meetings that you had me over. This is a collection of competitors, architects and contractors and folks that lay foundations and slabs, all these people that are in the business of producing these capital projects. They're all competitors, but they come together for this clearinghouse of information and a networking opportunity. And I see potential with this iLink Up organization in the future, bit by bit. We got another legislative session coming up next year, but as you mentioned, especially in the Valley where we have so much, as far as growing pains, oh yeah, roads and pipes and lining of canals and issues related to power and water and all those things. Yeah, we need to come together and talk a bit more about this and push to get some solutions in Austin, whatever can be done.
Absolutely.
At the legislative level.
I sit on the board of the RGV partnership, and we're under new leadership with Amanda Saldana, and we just hired Paco Sanchez.
Yeah, El Primo.
Had
him on the show on Monday.
Yeah, he's going to. I've got lunch with him. Looking forward to it. But he's looking at the new direction that the partnership's doing under Amanda's leadership, and they're going to go back to the. We are going to go back to the days of stronger advocacy, having the backs of businesses at the legislative and federal level.
At the RGV partnership.
RGV partnership, and the strong advocacy for infrastructure and resources and investment in our region, but not forgetting about the small businesses here, to be sure that they have a voice on the state and federal level as well.
How do folks join you for the Institute for Leadership in Capital Projects? Again, if whatever it is that you do for a living in actually developing buildings and all these construction projects, you need to join, be a part of the conversation and the education workshops that they have as well. Again, the workshop coming up in Brownsville next week. How do they join you? They
Just
call you.
Go on the web, and it's link, LINCP, ilinkcp.org, and you get there and you can join right there.
The next mixer is a week from, well, it's actually next Wednesday in Brownsville, and you can stop by and meet City Hall leadership and take a look at some of the downtown projects. Program note for KURV. We have several conversations already in the queue. One of them is Mayor John Cowan. He came over to the State of the City event in McAllen, and he focused a bit on the efforts in downtown Brownsville. It has so much potential. Downtown Brownsville as a destination point. I mean, with gorgeous South Tech, with a University of Texas, RGV, with Texas South most gorgeous campus, and of course the zoo, the
rich
kids
in
museum,
history,
the historic aspect of it. It has a lot of potential to be a destination point as Brownsville continues to expand at a rapid rate. Brian, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to our next conversation.
You are more than welcome.
Lord willing, next week we'll talk about that.
Looking forward to it.
Brian Godinez with ERO Architects and the Institute for Leadership in Capital Projects. This is the Sergio Show on Newstalk 710 KURV. We're broadcasting today from the Renaissance Conference Center in Edinburg at the campus of DHR Health with the RGV Business Journal.com and their luncheon.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. For the past decade, I was the leading voice in passing school choice. I never gave up. And in 2025, we passed the largest school choice plan in America. I also passed a law requiring that school locker rooms, showers, restrooms, and private spaces be restricted to only one gender to keep your daughter safe. Now, parents are back in control of their children's education.
Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, keeping Texas the most conservative state in America.
When President Obama wouldn't do his job, I was the first state leader to ensure Texas had state troopers on the southern border.
Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is the driving force behind the Texas legislature that makes laws from conservative ideas, and Patrick has made Texas the most conservative state in America. Donald Trump has given Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick his endorsement, saying Dan Patrick is a true MAGA Republican.
I am giving him my complete and total endorsement.
Political ad paid for by Texans for Dan Patrick.
If you're in the market for a new Toyota or pre-owned Toyota, look no further than Toyota Afar. They have an extensive selection of Toyota cars and Toyota SUVs and Toyota trucks, along with exceptional customer service every step of the way. Call 956-815-2285.
If you think we need a politician for our next attorney general, I got good news for you. There's a whole bunch of fast talkers to choose from. Or maybe you want someone that's done it before. Put criminals in jail and kept them there too. While the politicians talked, Joan Huffman was a tough-as-nails prosecutor, putting criminals away. And she was a judge, and nobody was tougher on crime. How about the border? In the state Senate, Joan Huffman got more money and manpower to stop Biden's invasion than any man in Texas. Joan Huffman is tough. She's effective. She's the most qualified. And that's why Texas top law enforcement all endorse Joan. Joan Huffman, prosecutor, judge, a strong conservative for Attorney General. Political ad paid for by Texans for Joan Huffman.
History is unfolding, and you're listening to it on News Talk 710 KURV, Edinburg, McAllen, Harlingen, Brownsville.
They might not get paid for a while. Again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Tens of thousands of employees at FEMA and TSA may need to work without pay for the third time since October.
Because funding for much of Homeland Security runs out at midnight. And Fox's Chad Pergram also reports from the Capitol.
The fight is over ICE. Congress abandoned town with no deal in place to reform ICE. That's why Democrats would not fund DHS. Democrats demand concrete reform.
Yet, immigration enforcement operations will continue, mostly unaffected, already funded by Republicans in the big, beautiful bill. Now to Minnesota, where Fox's Brooke Taylor reports.
5 people who were federally indicted, accused of storming this church with anti-ICE agitators, are going to be arraigned this afternoon. DHS says 3 of those people were the ringleaders, accusing them of planning the riot.
Former CNN anchor Don Lemon was also at that church protest and will also be arraigned today. Lemon insists he was just covering the protest as a journalist. President Trump will travel to Fort Bragg in North Carolina in a few hours, where he'll thank troops involved in the command operation in Venezuela last month that captured leader Nicolas Maduro, now jailed on drug and terror charges in the U.S. And as Fox's Jared Halpern reports from the White House, the president's moving some naval forces that had been targeting drug trafficking boats off the South American coast to increase pressure on Iran.
The USS Gerald Ford is sailing from the Caribbean to the Middle East, increasing the firepower available to President Trump if a deal with Iran is not made.
We have to make a deal, otherwise it's going to be very traumatic. Very traumatic. I don't want that to happen, but we have to make a deal.
The president tells me he thinks an agreement can be made in about a month's time.
It should happen quickly. They should agree very quickly.
America's listening to Fox News.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Are you a fraud-paying American? 1 in 4 tax-paying Americans have been victim of identity fraud. With LifeLock, your identity, if it's stolen, they fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. And last year, billions in refunds were stolen. Could be from your salary, overtime, or second job. Gone. But this year, you don't need to stay a victim. Because this tax season, fraud-paying American is something no American should have to claim. Save up to 40% off your first year with the promo code BECK. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms do apply.
There is now a $100,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in the Nancy Guthrie search in day 13. A masked suspect seen on video around the time the 84-year-old was kidnapped has been described as 5'9" or 10, and they detailed the backpack he was wearing as one from Walmart.
Also, the Pima County Sheriff is asking anyone with a camera in roughly a 2-mile radius of Nancy's home to check their video from January 1st through February 1st and submit any video to the Pima County Sheriff's online link. They're looking for people, cars, or, of course, suspicious activity.
That's Fox's Matt Finn in Tucson, Arizona. The trial will soon resume in Los Angeles in the case against some social media platforms in a lawsuit alleging they're made to be addictive. 2 days after the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, testified, expert witnesses will be taking the stand.
We're going to be hearing whether these people today believe that 16 hours of Instagram use could potentially be a form of addiction. Now, Mosseri said he didn't believe it's an addiction, but he says that he believes that's problematic use. Now, Wednesday, as he testified, there were parents in the courtroom in that first row who lost their children because they believe that social media led to self-esteem and mental health issues ending up with some of them taking their lives. Now, at one point, some of these parents could be heard crying, and scoffs could be heard at other times as well.
It was less inflation. That's why the Fox Business Network's Kelly Sabera outside that court in L.A. There was less inflation in January. The monthly consumer price increase just 0.2%. The annual inflation rate fell from December down to 2.4%. And on Wall Street, a turnaround for the Dow. It was down earlier. Now it's gaining 87 points, but the NASDAQ is still down, off by 6. At the Winter Olympics, the U.S. hasn't won a medal yet today, still at 14. That's 4 back of Norway and Italy, who are tied for the lead. Later today, American figure skating Ilya Malinin, nicknamed the Quad God, will go for the gold. He's in the lead after the short program. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast. Intervals of clouds and some sunshine today. A windy and warm afternoon, high 83 to 87. Wind from the southeast at 12 to 25 miles per hour. Cloudy, breezy, and warm tonight. The low near 70. Partly sunny, breezy, and warm again tomorrow. High 84 to 92. Plenty of sunshine, breezy, still warm on Sunday, but becoming less humid. High 86 to 90. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Dan Pedinowski on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
South Texas Buick GMC celebrates 20 years with you, and we're going to celebrate big. Drive a 2026 GMC Sierra for only $99 per month, or get into a 2026 Buick Encore GX for $145 per month. GMC, we are professional grade. Visit us at southtexasgmc.com or schedule your test drive at 661-5000. Take the Sherry Road exit, celebrating 20 years with you. South Texas Buick GMC, not the biggest, just the best.
Broadcasting from the Valley's commercial and fleet headquarters studio at PayneAutoGroup.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV. From the Radio United Broadcast Center, this is the Sergio Show. Talking about the news headlines and topics that affect you. And now, the Sergio Show with Sergio Sanchez.
Hour 2 of the Sergio Show on News Talk 710 KURV. And we're broadcasting from the Renaissance Conference Center at DHR Health. Gorgeous facility here with the DHR Health family. Now, the reason we're on the road is we're joining with the Rio Grande Valley Business Journal, RGVBusinessJournal.com. It is their inaugural Rio Grande Valley Economic Outlook. And at noontime today, they will have a chance with all the folks who, it's a sold-out event, by the way. I can't invite you to come over. It's a sold-out event. So I hope everybody shows up for lunch. You guys bought a ticket and table? Come on, get over here. Fascinating conversation. The keynote speaker today is Vice President of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, Dr. Pia Orenius. Ramiro Garza, our former mayor, and he is the publisher of the RGV Business Journal.com. He's the publisher. He'll be the moderator. And the panelists' conversations today, everything is in there because the Dallas Fed Vice President will be talking a lot about issues that are very much on the minds of many folks who are in construction. Labor issues and labor trends on that. And we know what's happening as far as the crackdown on folks that should not be working in this market, do not have the permit for that. And, well, now some folks that are trying to deliver buildings and neighborhoods on time, well, there's a delay on that as a result of this. So it's something that is grinding the gears of economic output. Joaquin Spammer, founder, president of CIL, and the visionary behind the Rioplex Regional Economic Development, Private Sector Economic Development concept. We've spoken plenty with him. He'll be talking with folks today about logistics and manufacturing. We have folks from Next Decade participating as well. Andrea Benton on behalf of LNG. I hear those 3 letters, LNG. I hear jobs, 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 and more jobs, jobs, jobs coming over at the Port of Brownsville. Good morning to all my family over at the Rio Grande Valley Port of Brownsville. And we have Sean Samtani on behalf of Rhodes Enterprises. I know Mike Rhodes for many years, and he has, he's got all these pokers in the fire. They got business development and neighborhoods, and we're talking about hammers flying all the time over at Rhodes Enterprises. Yes, some of the panelists participating today come and network, and that is if you purchase the ticket or a table, make sure to come and network today. And come enjoy lunch today with the Rio Grande Valley Business Journal. Again, rgvbusinessjournal.com. Some of today's supporters and participants behind the scenes let me start. We'll be talking a lot about economic activity, regional and national level as well. As a major bank that Lone Star National Bank is, and may I acknowledge again, as I do daily on the program, hour 2 of the Sergio Show, made possible in part by LSNB, Lone Star National Bank. Vipul Patel, economist, joining me right now, and he looks at, tell me about some of the reports and metrics that you're constantly looking at, Vipul, and then churning out reports to the vice presidents, to the different chiefs at Lone Star National Bank to make sure we have a good read on economic activity and where we go next with LSNB. So tell me about your job day to day.
Sure. I'm happy to be here on the show, Sergio. Thanks for having us. Just a correction. I'm not an economist, but part of what I do, which is manage the overall balance sheet of the bank, I need to keep up with what's going on in the economy. So, yeah, some of the things that we look at are what's the trend nationwide as far as employment, inflation, jobs growth or lack of, and what's happening overall in the economy. How could that influence banking, rates, consumer lending, commercial lending, things of that nature. And also, obviously, we want to prepare the bank to be in a position where we can withstand any type of rate environment, either if it's going higher or lower. So we need to keep up with what's going in the economy so we can have an informed decision made to where we can balance things at the bank.
Did you see any change in lending traffic, for example, at the bank at LSNG as a result of, those couple of interest rate changes as we saw last year? When something like that hits the radar, does you get more people through the door? Did you see any change in business?
So last year we had a pretty good year. We grew loans, and over the last 3 to 4 years, we have added close to $500 million on our balance sheet. So we have been one of the banks that have lent out, even despite what has been a slowdown in the economy recently. So over the last 3 years, we have added close to $500 million.
Expand on that. When you say slow down in the economy, you're referring to the national metric, because around here, it's crazy. We can't find enough people to work at the port right now. And we got a job fair coming up in McAllen next week on the 17th. We got the kids at Workforce telling me, there'll be 10,000 jobs. 10,000 jobs and about 1,000 people showing up at the McAllen Convention Center next week.
Yeah, good point. So nationally, what has happened, and in fact, the reports were released this week, job growth for the month was $130,000. That's subject to revision. But all of last year, the job growth was closer to 100,000. So in 1 month, we grew what all of 2025 experiencing job growth. So that's what I meant by slowdown. If you go back a few years, you would see that jobs growth were closer to $200,000 a month. 200,000 people a month, excuse me. Now that has slowed down to where the average was pretty close to zero.
How much of the tapping of the brakes is AI? And I ask you because Amazon was in the news, UPS was in the news, and a lot of other companies in the news are saying, we got AI taking care of it. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of jobs over a short span, like over 6 months. A lot of people that out the door. So how much of that is technology?
Yeah, so technology has a big role to play in this. Obviously, it's too soon to know the total impact that it's going to have over a longer time frame. But just to give you an idea, what's happening is entry-level jobs can easily be replaced by AI. What do I mean by entry-level job? Let's say an analyst. Before, a bank or a law firm needed an analyst to go review documents and come up with reports. Now they don't need that person because they can upload the documents and the AI software is going to scan the data and much more efficiently, quicker. Obviously, somebody has to review the data that comes out of that review from AI, but entry-level jobs are not going to be needed like they were in the past.
We'll talk more about jobs in here just in a little bit. He's an expert in jobs. Julian Alvarez. Jules is here, and you'll see him here on the camera as we're broadcasting on 710 KURV, YouTube, X, and Facebook Live as well. Former chief at Workforce Commission in Texas, Julian Alvarez, on standby. Tell you what, Julian, when I speak with you here in a little bit, I don't want no AI robot nurse, dude. I want a human being. Look, they have a hard time finding my vein, so I don't want no robot figure poking. I can't find it. Can't find the blood. Can't find the blood. Yeah. My guest right now, Vipul Patel, Lone Star National Bank. I refer to him as economist because that's what you do for a living. Dude, you're gathering all this information and then presenting it to the chiefs and vice presidents. So we make good decisions at the local level. If you were to describe the RGV economy, which you're dominant in, I know you have branches in other places, but the RGV economy, describe it for me. Is it healthy? Is it strong? Moderate? Could be better? What would you say?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I would describe that as healthy, and it has grown quite a bit. In fact, we are looking at some data, and now the population on the McAllen side of the border is higher than Reynosa, one of the few border towns where the U.S. city area has more population than Mexican side. So if you look at El Paso has less than Ciudad Juarez. Matamoros has more than Brownsville. And even in Laredo, Nuevo Laredo has more. McAllen is one of the exceptions. So
you must be talking about McAllen Metro then, because
correct.
McAllen, Edinburg, Mission, all the coalition, pretty much Hidalgo County, right? If you look at it,
that's
Hidalgo
correct.
County, right?
That's correct.
So we have more people on this side than Reynosa has.
Correct.
Immediately south of the border. Wow.
Yeah. So that's something pretty amazing, because in the past, we would see that Mexican side had more population.
Yeah.
But McAllen stands out as an exception to that. So I would say it's pretty healthy as far as local economy is concerned. But as you might have read or heard about recently, there is some concern about immigration raids and whatnot that's affecting employment and even economy slowing down here in the valley, because
we heard from the Rio Grande Valley Builders Association. They've been on it for a while, because obviously the cash only labor that's on the periphery of a lot of the jobs that are done by some, not everybody, but it's a reality. When you lose a certain low double-digit percentage of that workforce, that tile work or brick, whatever it is that they're doing, it's not there anymore, and it's probably not coming back because an immigration or a workforce permitting wrong is that chueco. Everything's like twisted. They're trying to correct that. It's going to take time to deliver on some of those buildings and neighborhoods. There's a slowdown. They had, for example, the RGV Builders Association, one of the first interviews last year early was how there was going to be a delay in a few of the projects for their parade of homes that they had. And that just persists. It's in there. And I don't know if it will be fixed anytime soon. I'll tell you, because Jeremy Smith from Mott's Building Materials and a whole other folks went up to D.C. They're trying to get the administration's attention. Tell the president, Mr. President, this is me talking. I said, well, you got visas for eggheads and computer nerds, visas for nurses, visas for other industry. How about a visa for people that know how to, build stuff? We know where they are, and that we can deliver just in time, deliver these projects that need to be put on the market. Otherwise, it's a grinding of the gears and a little bit of a drag and slowdown in the output of the economy.
That's correct. There is a multiplying effect, obviously. So if you don't have enough activity going on in the region, it also affects how many people immigrate to the Rio Grande Valley. Because if there is a slowdown, obviously you're not going to have the infrastructure needed to accommodate higher levels of immigration, be it legal or illegal, right? Obviously, the illegal portion seems to have slowed down, but even legal, we saw people moving from north in the United States into the Rio Grande Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, now if you don't have enough subdivisions that are being built, houses that are being built, schools that are being updated and whatnot, that should have some slowdown.
Well, a strong economy like the Valley requires labor, and that wrinkle needs to be ironed out as quickly as possible. Vipul Patel with Lone Star National Bank. A couple of questions before we go pay some bills, and then we come back with Julian. Market highs, the investments, the roller coaster that is the Dow and the NASDAQ, all that stuff, the Dow reaching record highs, all these investments. Seriously, I know that's a little headline and news, but in the end, does it really mean anything? Is that a true indicator of economic activity? Reaching record highs again and yet again, Richard. Reaching record highs.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you asked that. Roughly 50% of the population has some exposure to stock market. Not everybody does. So,
and they don't even know it, right? It's probably the retirement fund with the school district or something like that. That's money in there, right?
That's correct. So actively participating in stock market, I would say probably the top 20 percentile of earners are the ones that are really dependent on the stock market as a big portion of the wealth. And those guys have done pretty well because stock values have gone up. And as to the valuation component, it seems to be that they are pretty stretched. Why? Because they're expecting AI to be a big driver of earnings going forward. And if earnings are higher, valuations of stocks and companies would be higher. But recently we have seen a drag down because AI, again, is expected to make things more efficient. And some companies that have traditional business models, now their values have been going down. So it remains to be seen if AI is going to play out, but for sure there are industries that will benefit from it.
One of the presentations I really enjoyed a couple of years back, it was there sit down a whole bunch of business people and investors there at LSNB at the 4th floor of the tower. And you were looking at how the dollar was being leveraged, the monopoly money that went into this stimulus, and how at some point down the road, it had to be paid. Well, we're paying for it now, I'm guessing, with all the price of commodities, gold, silver, metals, things like that. Twice as expensive now because, well, the dollar is not as strong as it used to be, and we got to pay all that back. Where are we in the process of paying back all that government borrowing? And second part of the question, with the trillions of dollars that have been committed, thanks to the president waving the tariff stick and forcing the UK and the EU and Vietnam and all these trade agreements and commitments from them, Japan, trillions upon trillions and trillions of real dollars, real investment of this country. So how do we get ourselves out of that $2 trillion, multi-trillion-dollar hole with the real big trillion private sector dollar investment into the economy? Where are we in that chart that you showed us? At some point, all this has to be paid off.
So it's interesting. The Federal Reserve took its balance sheet up to $9 trillion at its peak. It has been brought down to about $6.5 trillion. But starting December of last year, they started adding back to it. So there has been a dent as far as how much leverage there has been put into the economy, but it's unfortunately starting to go back up.
Why?
And
because they can't balance the books in DC, and they're still passing, multi-trillion dollars in deficit spending.
So there are two types of stimulus: fiscal and monetary. We are talking about the monetary component. Fiscal component, yes, we are still running a deficit as a government. That has come down. You spoke about the tariffs. That has aided in bringing it down, but still we are running a deficit, even though it's lower. But what I was referring to earlier is the Federal Reserve, which supplies money into the economy. This is a form of money supply that they're adding. Good question. Why do we need that? And Lori Logan, the Federal Reserve Dallas chairperson, she came down to the Valley last year, and she was worried that if we did not provide more stimulus into the economy, we will see reserves not being adequate or enough to support the economy that we have at the moment.
Vipul, thank you for your time. Vipul Patel with Lone Star National Bank. We're broadcasting the Sergio Show today from the Rio Grande Valley Business Journal luncheon, their first ever economic outlook for 2026. Hope you can join the conversation. If you have a ticket, I can't invite you to lunch. You need a ticket and buy a table for, and that's been sold out for a while. Go look for their publication, RGV businessjournal.com. We continue our conversation on the economy, looking at workforce issues with, as far as our Markham and the top expert, I would say at one time in Texas and still today looking at everything that's taking place in the workforce. Julian Alvarez next on 710 KURV. I want to say thank you to South Texas Buick GMC. Big thank you as well to Lone Star National Bank for this hour, daily, weekdays, the Sergio Show on 710 KURV.
Jay Gonzalez, the Valley's top lawyer with over 20 years of experience. Jay Gonzalez is simply the best. If you've been injured in a crash, call 1-800-CAR-CRASH today.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. For the past decade, I was the leading voice in passing school choice. I never gave up. And in 2025, we passed the largest school choice plan in America. I also passed a law requiring that school locker rooms, showers, restrooms, and private spaces be restricted to only one gender to keep your daughter safe. Now, parents are back in control of their children's education.
Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, keeping Texas the most conservative state in America.
When President Obama wouldn't do his job, I was the first state leader to ensure Texas had state troopers on the southern border.
Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is the driving force behind the Texas legislature that makes laws from conservative ideas, and Patrick has made Texas the most conservative state in America. Donald Trump has given Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick his endorsement, saying Dan Patrick is a true MAGA Republican.
I am giving him my complete and total endorsement.
Political ad paid for by Texans for Dan Patrick.
Chamberlain Roofing, Waterproofing. Take a look at the amazing list, the inventory of all the different services that they provide. Some new to the area. ChamberlainLTD.com. I was telling you this week, I had a conversation with one of the top chiefs over at Chamberlain, the individual responsible for decades now, making sure that all the folks that are at Chamberlain come over to your offices and go up, climb up there, get up on those heights. And checking your warehouse roofs and checking the, all the businesses that you have, checking the commercial roofs on all those businesses. Safety is first. Safety is a priority. I would say the long conversation I had with the safety chief at Chamberlain, I would say safety is an obsession, and that's a compliment. They have multiple tiers of training and certifications, and they're proud of them. In the end, keep everybody safe, make sure they go home to their babies, eat some dinner, go back to work the next day. But also, by extension, the folks your different businesses, you'll need to hire Chamberlain to check your roofs and replace your roofs or fix your roofs. Make sure that you're not calling the insurance company because something bad happens and somebody's not paying attention. Chamberlain Roofing, Waterproofing, top roofers in this entire region. They will check your commercial roofing system free. Ask them to come over. That way you know what's going on with that commercial roofing system. 956-655-6178.
Thank you, Harlingen, and thank you, Rio Grande Valley, for listening today to News Talk 710 KURV, the Valley's official home for Fox News Radio.
Time is 10:27. The Sergio Show on News Talk 710 KURV. We are on the road. We are at the Renaissance Conference Center in Edinburg, DHR Health Campus, here with RGV Business Journal.com at noontime today. They've got a luncheon. We'll be looking at the economy and the outlook of 2026, look back to 25, outlook of 2026. My guest right now, Julian Alvarez, used to be the commissioner for workforce issues in the state of Texas. One time DPS trooper, Julian Alvarez. I never forgot that story, dude. Can you say it on the radio?
The one where from the knees down, I'm a dangerous cat.
We got to keep it G-rated. So yeah, let's stick to workforce issues. How many years were you at Texas Workforce as the chief?
So I was appointed by Governor Abbott for 2 terms. So a total of 7 or 8 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Quite the view from that lofty perch looking at workforce. So back, what years are we talking about?
2016 to 23.
Okay. Mm-hmm. At a time when the economy in Texas rapidly, despite COVID, you hitting COVID, that bump in the road, rapidly, and the demand, you saw the demand on the medical side. You saw the demand for the trades even back then. So status report, let's go on the medical side, because one of the last interviews that we did with Julian was this apprenticeship program, first ever
That's right.
in the nation.
That's right.
Right here in the Valley. So tell folks who are new to the area about that apprenticeship for nursing.
Yeah, so the Department of Labor approved the DOL apprenticeship program for South Texas. And so what that did was partner local community college. So South Texas College, RGV College here in South Texas partnered up with DHR. And DHR was able to roll out the first ever apprenticeship program. There's another one now. We have one in, I think, Eagle Pass. So there's two in the country, and you're seeing more and more of those programs rolled out. But what's unique about this program, Sergio, and you and I've talked about it, it's hands-on training. So the majority of the program is not taking PE courses or those courses that kind of were not relevant, but it's actually getting hands-on training throughout your term as a nurse.
Yeah, yeah. And you've got another graduating class, another cohort.
Yes.
So
I want to
how many?
say, so we've been graduating anywhere from 15 to 20 students. Now we have a cohort of students that are going to be graduating soon from South Texas College. So the courses or the classes that have been graduating were all those students from RGV College, because those were LVNs that were actually doing a one-year program graduating as an RN. South Texas College took the students that were completed their first 2 years and were finishing off their last junior, senior year with us.
This apprenticeship program, the nursing apprenticeship, have we been able to copy paste it in other markets, Houston, Dallas, or is somebody else also running with this ball and doing it in their market?
So that's interesting. You should say that, because since its conception, we've had hospital systems around the country, and I'm not just talking about Texas, but around the country, who have been reaching out to DHR and community colleges like South Texas College, asking, hey, share with us the curriculum, share with us the standards. And what made this unique, Sergio, is that while the students were actually going through the program, keep in mind it's an apprenticeship program, they're getting paid. So whether you're in a classroom or in a lab setting in a hospital, you're getting paid, not like the traditional nurses where you have to graduate first, then go out and look for a job.
Yeah.
These students are already working with us.
Then it improves the quality of care. Right?
It does.
You got students who learn real quick, side by side to other nurses. So on the workforce side, providing the mentors or the folks that provide the training, have you seen any challenge in getting enough nurses, senior nurses, to bring up several of these students with them? Like, tell me about, like, who, I know DHR is very active in that, but other health systems, may I add, award-winning health systems, congratulations to them. Some of them got some high ratings on Forbes recently, but finding those senior nurses to patiently bring in those students from the colleges.
I think what was challenging at first, and it was a learning lesson for all of us that went through this program, and it was sharing with them what an apprentice was, because you got to understand, many of these folks that were in our healthcare systems had gotten there through the traditional way, the 2-year route, ADN courses, or the 4-year route at a university. These students were apprentices. So the terminology was interesting, because preceptors are the people that are actually doing the training. In the union world where apprenticeship was founded, they use the word like journeyman. Yeah. So it was getting healthcare professionals to be identified as a journeyman and no longer as a preceptor. So even in other industries, it's challenging, because folks say, once we go through an apprenticeship program, all I hear is they're going to go on strike, or, they're going to want union pay. And so it was that perception that if you did an apprenticeship program, that was a possibility.
Julian Alvarez, he's an expert in workforce issues, former commissioner for Texas Workforce for several years. He's one of the vice presidents at Lone Star National Bank. You mentioned that on the wastewater treatment trade or profession, there's movement in that as well to get our folks trained. So what is the program on that?
Yeah, so a couple of months back, I was asked to serve on a panel with NADBank in the city of El Paso and share with them the shortage of wastewater treatment operators along the South Texas region. So everywhere from Brownsville to Laredo, we identified as South Texas for this purpose. And what we found was NADBank was having challenges in awarding municipalities or counties or irrigation districts with funding grants because they didn't have the skilled workers. You got to remember, we don't have someone that could check the pH balance, or we're not trained in testing our waters, right? And so the grants were there, but the workforce wasn't. So after the presentation, I was informed that they were going to grant South Texas an $80,000 grant. NADBank.
Yeah.
But I'm a banker now, so I don't get the money. The money's going to have to go through a nonprofit. So we partnered up with Trust for Americas, and just so that you know, Sergio, because I know we're short on time, but on March 3rd at the Rio Grande Valley Partnership with Sergio Sanchez, who's the new president, we are going to partner up with them, and they are going to conduct a workshop for all the EDCs, irrigation districts, a few employers and municipalities, and share with them that there's going to be an $80,000 grant. And by the way, the Texas Workforce Commission, or the local Workforce Solutions Office with Frank Almaraz and John Hershey, are going to match it. So to pay for support services, uniforms, tools, transportation. I mean, you can't beat it.
There's so much more to talk about, especially on the construction side with the shortage of labor there. I'm wondering if anything's developing on that, but we'll save it for the next conversation. And I appreciate you telling me about the time.
So can I say one thing?
Yeah,
Sergio?
go ahead. Yeah.
I know earlier you were talking to Vipul Patel, who's a foremost expert in what's happening right in the economy for the bank. But you mentioned AI. I just want you to know you have the real version here. This is not the AI version of Julian.
We know. You know why? Because you're ugly. That's what. If it were AI, it'd be, oh man, his glowing skin. Look how handsome he is. Yeah, me too. That's puros feos. But AI is coming from us, dude. No, I appreciate you mentioning see, Julian Alvarez, he's time sensitive. He feels that we're running out of time. I don't suffer from it. I'm missing a gene. That's my producer, Fred. I'm missing that time sensitivity gene. I better go back. Otherwise, he's going to yell at me. So let's go back to the mothership, 710 KURV. This is the Sergio Show on Newstalk 710 KURV, here with the inaugural RGV Business Journal.com and their outlook of the economy. Luncheon taking place here at the Renaissance Edinburg Conference Center at DHR Health.
Don Huffines is a successful businessman who stands with President Trump to enforce our immigration laws and put Texas first. As a senator, Don Huffines exposed a multi-million-dollar government corruption scandal and sent 6 crooks to prison for stealing our tax dollars. As our comptroller, Don Huffines will bring a private sector mindset to government. He'll doge waste, fraud, and abuse, eliminate all taxpayer-funded benefits to illegal aliens, and abolish every woke DEI program in every government agency in Texas. Don Huffines is the only Trump Republican running for Texas comptroller. That's why he's endorsed by Senator Ted Cruz and every major conservative group in Texas, including Texas Right to Life and Gun Owners of America. Don Huffines, the Trump Republican for comptroller.
Political ad paid for by the Don Huffines campaign.
Questions about youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit organization, develops better athletes and better people through youth and high school sports. Info at positivecoach.org.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. For the past decade, I was the leading voice in passing school choice. I never gave up. And in 2025, we passed the largest school choice plan in America. I also passed a law requiring that school locker rooms, showers, restrooms, and private spaces be restricted to only one gender to keep your daughter safe. Now, parents are back in control of their children's education.
Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, keeping Texas the most conservative state in America.
When President Obama wouldn't do his job, I was the first state leader to ensure Texas had state troopers on the southern border.
Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is the driving force behind the Texas legislature that makes laws from conservative ideas, and Patrick has made Texas the most conservative state in America. Donald Trump has given Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick his endorsement, saying Dan Patrick is a true MAGA Republican.
I am giving him my complete and total endorsement.
Political ad paid for by Texans for Dan Patrick.
News on 710 KURV is a service of Edinburg Consolidated Independent School District, UTRGV, and ECISD Collegiate High School, currently enrolling freshmen and sophomore students. For information, call 956-289-2300.
Fox News, I'm Therese Crowley. Nothing to do with ICE, but they'll pay the price. Airport TSA agents, Coast Guard, and others about to lose their paychecks again in a Homeland Security Saturday shutdown. Democrats refuse to pass funding, though Senate Leader John Thune tells Fox the ICE reforms they wanted were there.
It was a bipartisan bill, had reforms in it. It had body cameras in it, had de-escalation training in it. It had more oversight of ICE activities in it. These are reforms that the Democrats had requested, agreed to, and then walked away
Day
from.
13 of the search for Nancy Guthrie, the FBI releases a suspect description from the Nest Cam image of an armed man at her Tucson door. 5'9" or 10", average build, wearing a Walmart Ozark Trails backpack. President Trump and First Lady Melania on a Valentine's visit to special forces at Fort Bragg, who plucked out Venezuela's dictator Nicolas Maduro for justice. America's listening to Fox News.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast. Warm and windy this afternoon with clouds and sun. High 83 to 87. Winds from the southeast at 12 to 25 miles per hour. Cloudy, warm, and breezy tonight. The low near 70. Partly sunny and breezy tomorrow. High 84 to 92. And then on Sunday, sunshine, breezy, still very warm, but the humidity comes down. Sunday's high around 90. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Dan Pedanowski on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
Broadcasting from the Valley's commercial and fleet headquarters studio at PayneAutoGroup.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
Yeah, I'll tell you in a little bit. Yeah. The Sergio Show on News Talk 710 KURV. Time is 10:41. We're broadcasting from the Renaissance Conference Center in Edinburg, DHR Health Campus. I know you guys can't see this. I consider him a dear friend and mentor. I'm watching what he's doing, and I'm so blessed that he's part of the programming here at KURV on my phone. He says, "Who's that? Who's that pretty young lady?" He didn't say pretty young lady, but it's a pretty young lady. Who's that? I tell him, "This is my daughter." And they believe me. They're a little bit younger than I am. That's my beautiful wife. Joaquin Spammer is one of the panelists today at the inaugural RGV Business Journal.com, this luncheon, this economic outlook. We have one of the vice presidents from the Fed in Dallas looking at workforce issues. We'll be talking about manufacturing, logistics as well, construction, meeting the demand for building space for homes. It's amazing times that we live in the Rio Grande Valley. For folks, and I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, for folks who do not know you, Joaquin, there are a lot of new people, In this 1 year that you and I have been meeting each other and doing the interviews, a lot of new people in the Valley who come from other markets. Brownsville, McAllen, number 10 destination point for one-way U-Haul. Aquí, they're coming, number 10, one-way U-Haul moving to the Valley. So tell me about yourself, your business investments, your company CIO, for folks who are new to the Valley listening to Talk Radio.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for having me, Sergio. Yeah. I really appreciate you always keeping up with us. Well, my name is Joaquin Spammer. I'm the president of CIL Group. We have 3 companies. We have logistics, mainly southbound, cross-border delivery company. Then we have a northbound produce, delivery and marketing company called Seal Fresh. And we have a development organization that is called Shield Capital Development Company. So those are my 3 businesses.
Joaquin Spammer was reminding me that about a year ago around this time, in one of the fascinating interviews on where capital might be going, where investments might be going over the near future, that would be producing more slab and warehousing and industrial space, the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of square feet that were back then proposed 1 year later, it's a reality to the tune of how big, how much space now we're talking 1 year later that's now about to go either online or about to go online
Well, we right now have 630,000 square feet under construction. We have four buildings being built. We have one in Bronzeville. It's going very fast. It's 181,000 square feet. Actually, Sergio, you were there when we were doing the grand opening. I'm glad to tell you that I'm a couple of months shy from finishing the project. It's going very fast. It seems to be fully mature. We have the customers for it. My business partner, Carlos Garcia, he's doing great in Bronzeville, and we're very happy with the project.
How much of what you're able to do these days and these new developments, how much is it as a result of the Port of Brownsville, the economic growth at the port, nearby other industries that complement SpaceX, all those things that are the amazing growth that we see in the economy?
What we see down there at the port, what we see the team at the port doing for economic development is kind of unique. We are, in my opinion, the best place to do business thanks to the port. And as you know, the port has been the economic force, the economic drive of the
It is
the
driving our
region,
economy here in South Texas.
For all the Rioplex region, on both sides of the border.
Rioplex, the word that he just mentioned, Rioplex, it will be 1 year ago this coming April that this Rioplex private sector economic development initiative, which would use the power and the speed of a combined effort of industry, investors, venture capitalists, and in combination with local leadership that have to, lay all the proposals properly in place in order to receive and provide land and tax abatements. So it's a combined effort unifying the region, Southern Texas, Northern Mexico, to put some steroids on economic development and recruitment efforts. We're almost 1 year to the time in April of that massive meeting that took place last year in April in Houston. You had trade folks from various countries. And I understand you still have, in typical sales fashion, for every 15, 20 calls, you get about two or three good ones. And you're still working those 2 or 3 good ones, right?
We have had 50 leads, RFIs, and we're still working on 30 of them. So we still have 30 alive since last year, since June of last year.
Who's looking at us? What type of industry is looking at us?
We have a lot of different industries, aerospace, a lot of technological, automotive. We've had a lot of data centers, the power suppliers. It's kind of unique. We have had inquiries from Europe, from Asia, from Mexico, from the States, from different parts of the States. The person that is handling all that is, of course, Mario Reynas, our great executive director, in combination with Astrid Salazar. You know her well. She's our strategic manager, and both of them have been doing a lot of work.
In combined effort with about 24 local ambassadors who represent various industries and investments and entities in South Texas who can, at the drop of a hat, launch to, Japan, launch to Germany, launch somewhere to go make a presentation to lure industry, these local leaders of business and magnates in business and banking and capital. 24 ambassadors ready to hit the ground running and keep selling the region, and we're seeing some fruit from that. That's the Rioplex economic development effort. The vision of Joaquin Spammer from CIL Group. We'll look forward to seeing him next week on the 19th for another opening of another massive warehousing, distribution, logistics project. You had mentioned to me that you've been thinking about this for some time, that we don't talk enough about what happens when we land a commitment from industry to move to the valley, to move to this region. What needs to happen? Once we get a commitment, there are several things that need to take place on the way to finally turn the key and open up the operation. So what is on your mind?
I'm glad you touched that subject, Sergio. I think that's a big subject that we haven't spoke enough about. It is a very difficult process to land a manufacturing plant anywhere in the world. So if you have a customer, a potential business that wants to come to Rio Place, they want to be in any of the cities, let's say the city of Alamo, and they are working in moving to the city. You need to have a lot of things in place. First, most of these manufacturing plants, they don't buy, they lease. So in this case, Alamo, the city of Alamo, needs to have a good relationship with developers so a potential customer can engage the developer in order to build the building, in order to lease it. It's not easy. And let me give you an example. Last year, I'm not able to disclose it right now, but one of these big cities brought a big company, a company from Europe. They make the big effort. They did a great job, and they actually landed the project. Once they landed the project, they invited a couple of developers that we do development in the city to make a proposal to this company. So we went ahead and did so, and we were able to gain their trust. That was in February 11, 2025.
Okay.
So it's been a year. It's been a year working with that company every day. My company has spent probably $300,000 just in expenses together to the company. The company already signed the contract. You're going to hear it from that city in a couple of weeks. It's a big deal, a major achievement for the city. But you have the city involved. You have the EDC involved. You have the engineering department involved. You have architects, engineers, developers, banking. You have a huge team working for a year to land a massive project as the one you're going to hear about in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So that's why we have not been talking enough about. You need to have all the EDCs thinking that it's not only bringing the customer, it's actually landing the project. That is, it is a huge undertaking.
Are you satisfied that we have the synergy between a city hall, county, certain districts, whether water, whatever, all the entities? Is there enough of a collaboration and synergy with the experience over this past year, looking at it, that yes, or do we need to improve in certain to speed up the process?
My friend is unique. Josh Cortez was right behind this project from the very beginning. The city was, I already disclosed that it's in Cameron, in Hidalgo County.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that, but the county, the city, everybody has been in.
Yeah.
It's kind of unique, Sergio. Let me say that. Everybody was 100% vested into this project. It's not the developer, it's not the bank, it's not the city, it's the combination of everybody working together to actually land and land the project. It's kind of a big undertaking.
Anybody who's been paying attention over the past years in conversation with you, in conversations with McAllen, conversations with other folks nearby, they can connect the dots. And it's good to hear that we can look forward to, in a couple of weeks, Lord willing, to have this great news, this manufacturing outfit come to the jobs, investment, good paying jobs, equally, really. Because you connected up, even with South Texas College, telling the people that their programs that they're training for. I almost lost my producer, Freddie. He said, Serge, I'm out of here. I'm going to go get those $90 job, $90 an hour jobs out there. That's good. That's wonderful. Just an example, I would imagine, of what can be achieved through the unified effort, Rioplex regional effort. And I hope that there's a domino effect, more complementary industry.
You're
come as a result.
Right? You're going to see that.
Thank you, sir. And good luck speaking today at the event.
Thank you, Sergio. And I'll see you next week in the grand opening of the Seal Fresh new facility in the
Lord willing, we'll see you there. Make sure to get your chicken first, though. Every time they have me speak at these events, they never feed me. They sit me up there, and then I get that. Oh yeah, what happened to my lunch? All the chicken's gone. So make sure.
I'll make sure that you'll have a variety of food.
Get your food first. Good to see you, sir. All right, Joaquin Spammer, CIO Capital, and the visionary for the Rioplex Economic Development Effort. The time is 10:53. The Sergio Show on 710 KURV from the Renaissance Conference Center at DHR Health with RGVBusinessJournal.com.
Don Huffines is a successful businessman who stands with President Trump to enforce our immigration laws and put Texas first. As a senator, Don Huffines exposed a multi-million-dollar government corruption scandal and sent 6 crooks to prison for stealing our tax dollars. As our comptroller, Don Huffines will bring a private sector mindset to government. He'll doge waste, fraud, and abuse, eliminate all taxpayer-funded benefits to illegal aliens, and abolish every woke DEI program in every government agency in Texas. Don Huffines is the only Trump Republican running for Texas comptroller. That's why he's endorsed by Senator Ted Cruz and every major conservative group in Texas, including Texas Right to Life and Gun Owners of America. Don Huffines, the Trump Republican for comptroller.
Political ad paid for by the Don Huffines campaign.
Securing America.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was in Otay Mesa, California, near San Diego Thursday, where she praised the continued efforts of the Border Patrol.
For 9 straight months, U.S. Border Patrol has released 0 illegal aliens into the United States.
Noem highlighted the attempts to curtail drug trafficking into the U.S. and cited what is being held in the vault in San Diego as a good example.
That inventory includes over 100,000 pounds of meth, 59,000 pounds of cocaine, and 7,400 pounds of fentanyl. In other words, that vault holds more than 1.7 billion lethal doses of narcotics.
Diane Sabatino, the Executive Assistant Commissioner for the Border Patrol's field operations, pledged that the organization's focus will continue.
Our border security mission is national security, and our efforts are never going to stop.
Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
I can barely hear you. Talk to me again.
Maybe.
Freddie.
Freddie.
It's Garza, right, Richard?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Richard
sir.
Garza.
Okay. Time is 10:57. The Sergio Show on Newstalk 710 KURV, and we're broadcasting from the Renaissance Edinburg Conference Center on the campus of DHR Health. Here celebrating the inaugural, the Economic Outlook as presented by the RGV Business Journal.com. You need to find that publication. You guys who are in the KURV audience, you guys are the movers and shakers. Stay up to speed on relevant economic business news, policy news, Northern Mexico, Southern Texas, RGVBusinessJournal.com. I guess from BIC Realty, BIC Realty. Richard Garza, it's a pleasure meeting you, sir. How many years you've been doing the whole real estate realty business?
I'm an old guy. I've been doing it for 48 years now. So I started at a very young age.
You don't look a day over 49. How'd you manage to do that? Here, get closer to the microphone. That way I can hear you. Okay. So from your perspective, my friend, and you mentioned this off air, which has been a topic of conversation plenty of late with the Rio Grande Valley Builders Association, other folks, politicians talking about a specific on the periphery shortage of cash-only workers that because of immigration crackdown, we're looking at a slowdown in the delivery of neighborhoods and things like that.
Absolutely. You know, what's happened in our business, we mainly work with the economically challenged families. We build neighborhoods for these families, and we finance their products. So what we've noticed in our industry is definitely a slowdown in the type of sales that we're doing today.
How much would you say, Richard?
It's probably affected us 30 to 40%.
That's pretty big.
We also finance all our products. So we're basically we're a start to finish type. We build our subdivisions, we sell out your inventory, and we also carry the paper. So we finance it. We have an in-house mortgage company. So our default rates have increased exponentially because our clientele no longer works. Our clientele either stays home or they're going back to Mexico. Again, we sell to the economically challenged family.
How much of your business pie, how much is that demographic? Cash only workers, hard workers, people that needed to correct they're making money, but they're not making money anymore.
Absolutely. I'd say it's somewhere between 35 and 40%.
That's why 35, 40%. All right.
Of course, and our collection rates are definitely the ones that are hurting today.
Yeah.
Because we carry all the paper, what's happened today is that these people are having a hard time making their payments. So we have a workout crew within my office, and basically what they do is work with their clientele, either to reduce payments or defer them, et cetera. Because what are we going to do so here with all this inventory if we have to take it back? We have to pay taxes and maintain it in inventory.
Right.
And it's not only my company, but it's everybody in my industry. Right. So it's something that's rarely talked about. People don't like to talk about it, but it's reality. It's happening in today's world.
Freddie, I'm going to take it 5 more minutes. I'll take the Fox News segment. We'll take it to 11:05. It's 11 a.m. This is KURV Edinburgh, the Sergio Show on the road. We are at the Renaissance Conference Center, Edinburgh, on the campus of DHR Health. We're here with the RGV Business Journal.com. My guest, Richard Garza with BIC Realty. I'll just round it out, about 1/3 of his clientele, folks that work for cash only. You know what that means? And with the immigration crackdowns, well, there's a major adjustment. He's about 1/3 leverage as far as this. Is it absorbable, Rich? If you have to, at some point, have to absorb these properties and put them back on the market.
We do. Obviously, there's going to be some concessions. We're going to have to probably do reductions. We're going to have to probably adjust our interest rates, et cetera. We may even have to adjust the criteria in which we actually have points to actually finance a product.
I need to ask you because all around us, because of the economic growth, and they say the thousands upon thousands of people that are now here and on the way here, 4,000 at LNG, 4,000 with Elon Musk, double that over the next year. You got to put them somewhere. You got a potential clientele that might be sopping up some of these properties. Is that something that you're going to shift gears and try to get some of those people that need to sleep somewhere? Are these thousands of people?
Oh, absolutely. No, and the sky's not falling, and there's definitely not blood in the streets, but we have a serious problem. And if ICE continues to do what they're doing in this area, patrolling the areas, basically scaring off this clientele, obviously it's going to hurt. It's hurting us today. We hope and pray that this one will ease off somewhat so we can get back to work. In our new
Do you see that happening? Let's be realistic. Do you see that happening? Because one thing is for them to throttle back. Another thing is for the families, the workers affected, to get the courage to come out of their turtle shell again. It's going to take a time for that to happen.
It's going to take time. I don't see this thing happening in the near future. We're hoping long-term things will get better. So the other part of our business is, we're continuously building new neighborhoods to replenish the inventory that we've sold. So what that does, it slows us down from purchasing additional properties, developing the properties, and selling that product. So basically, it affects everyone.
For the stuff that you are involved in building, how much of a slowdown on delivery is there as a result? Or it's something that would take 3 months is now taking what, 4, 5, 6 months, or what?
It's taking 4 or 5, maybe 6 months.
Additional from traditional delivery?
Because, we don't have our painters that are coming in. We don't have our sheetrock people that are working. And let's face it, the people that do the real work, we all know who they are and where they come from. And it's not because we don't want to pay higher wages. We would have them. We would pay higher wages if the people would actually come around to work, but nobody wants to do that kind of work.
Yeah.
So what traditionally was taking us 90 to 120 days is taking us maybe 6 to 7 months to finish the product. And we're not starting any new products either. We're basically
My
just
goodness,
need
that's
to,
just on the residential end.
finish up.
Can you imagine?
That's on the residential end. Yes,
imagine on the commercial end. All right, my brother. Anything else you want to share before I let you go? We're in.
No, just that, on the appraisal district level, I've been on this board now for 30 plus years, showing on a positive note, that the growth in the Rio Grande Valley, certainly has increased. When I first became a member of this board in 91, our taxable base was somewhere in the $2 billion mark. Today, it's excess of $85 billion. So obviously, it's changed considerably.
I'm going to bring you back, if you'd be so kind.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about appraisal
Anytime.
or appraisals, all that.
I was a board chairman for over 30 years and, again, have sat on this board for 34 years.
And the reason I say that, there's a movement, homeowners, business people, they're lining up their forces to take a message. And you've heard it from the governor. You've heard it from the lieutenant governor.
Yes, sir.
Why do we need to do yearly? Let's do every 3-5 years. Why do we need to do 10, 15, 20? Let's cap it at 2%, something like that. That is a conversation you and I need to flesh out, because
Another day,
you look
and
at
I
it
will
from
have that conversation.
Yes,
I
a
have
long
my own
conversation.
opinions and theories about it.
Yeah, look forward to that.
Thank you for your time.
Good to see you, sir.
Thank you.
Richard Garza with BIC Realty, and we'll call it a day and go back to HQ, go back to the mothership. We got Dana Lash next on 710 KURV. Again, go look for the publication, rgvbusinessjournal.com. Big thanks to our former mayor in Edinburg and publisher of the rgvbusinessjournal.com. Big thanks for the invite today. Thank you to Lone Star National Bank. Big thanks as well to South Texas Buick GMC for providing us this hour of the Sergio Show.